What's the minimum viable experiment, right? How can you take this notion, this thing that we all thought was true, and bring it into a very concise set of assumptions and a very clean experiment?
Welcome to the Microsoft Partner Network podcast. Every week, we bring in industry leaders and Microsoft partners to talk about the big ideas shaping business and technology today. Welcome back to the Microsoft Partner Network podcast series. I am here at Microsoft Inspire and super excited to be joined by CTO of PAX8, Michael Dehmlow. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so you're here at Inspire. Please tell me about yourself. What are you excited about? Have you learned anything cool? And tell me what PAX8 is up to.
Yeah, it's great to be here at Inspire. I've met a lot of great people, had a lot of good connections with the Microsoft team, and just really excited to meet a lot of new vendors and partners in the space. It's been amazing. I'm CTO at PAX8, so I'm responsible for developing our platform, the command console, PAX stacks. I also run our marketing operations team, which is a little different, but we're a little bit different at PAX8. My background is in development. I'm a computer science background. I started out in my career at Raytheon, and I guess my big claim to fame there was I created the analysis tool for orchestrated measurement, which is really effectively a platform for creating expert systems for stored telemetry analysis. And so all of that is meant to give flight operations engineers insights into what's happening on the spacecraft, right? So when you're getting a bunch of numbers back from the spacecraft, and in my case it was GPS and the James Webb Space Telescope, as well as some closed area projects. And as you're getting all that data from the background, you need to understand what's going on with the satellite so you can take action on it. And so that's what our tool did. It provided a platform and a framework for technicians, engineers, and scientists to go and understand what was going on with the bird.
And how have you used that in what you're working on at PAX8?
Well, I think one of the things that we do at PAX8 is we integrate with a whole lot of different vendors. So we're integrated with Microsoft, we're integrated with all of the partners we sell with. And so those integrations, what we need to do is we need to get a good understanding of how those are going. And so being able to monitor them, seeing what's going on with those API transactions, and then gather that data into a relevant way is really core to our operational efficiency and practice.
Awesome. So we want to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. What are you up to in your organization? What does that mean to you, and what are you guys starting to implement?
Absolutely. We just came out with PAX8 Stacks, which is really a business intelligence tool for our partners to use to identify gaps in their practice. So maybe there's some products that they could go and sell, and what are the easy opportunities for them to sell to their customers? Now, with that's really the foundational tool that we're building. And right now, it's really based on some insights we gleaned from Power BI and using that tool internally to develop really an expert system for our partners. Now, when we take that motion of just understanding what data can do for you, we extend that across our organization. So I mentioned that I lead our marketing operations team. And that's something that we've been able to find a lot of success in AI, right? So marketing and sales is really all about getting the right product in front of the right person at the right time, and then understanding how to best use your salesperson's time, right? And so we have lots of data. We have traffic data, we have purchase history data, we have support ticket data, we have all kinds of data that's within PAX8. And so one of our first steps as part of this journey was to collect that data inside of a data warehouse on Azure. And I think Azure is really the right place to do it. It's amazing the way that it works easily and quickly with the Power BI system, with the Power BI tool. And so as we've collected this data now, what do you do with it? Well, it's so much data. You can't have someone say, hey, I have an assumption and I want to go validate that by reading every help ticket that came in this month. We're at a scale now that that's simply not possible. And that's kind of where we started out. So how do we leverage AI to go and deliver a customer experience that's very, very facile and very excellent? And that's kind of where we're focusing our AI efforts on.
Can you give me an example, or what kind of insights are you seeing your customers are looking for and you're using the AI to drive some of those answers?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that, internally we've done is we're able to say, hey, we saw a dip in sales in this product. We saw some cancellations in this product line. What happened there? And the amazing thing about Power BI is it really gives you the tools to go tell a story very quickly, right? So you can leverage quick insights to say, hey, turns out the majority of these cancellations were focused around maybe a particular day or maybe with a particular service delivery motion. And so now we're able to go and dig into that and understand what's happening. As far as a customer is concerned, with PAX Stacks, it's really about identifying the next sale, right? And so if I'm able to deliver the right content to the partner at the right time, hey, I see that you're interacting with this tool to do some updates to this user or to this company, to this customer. You know what would be great for that customer is this set of products. And we can base that off parametrics like, hey, this is the industry they're in. This is their buying history. This is how they're growing. Now we can help you get out in front of what your customer needs are by providing a tool that actually says, hey, other customers like this, like your customers, are going to need this, and this is a great sales opportunity for you. And by the way, now, here's the content that we've identified that's most effectively at capturing that sale from your customer.
So it's really a value add for those that work with your company. That's awesome.
Actually, I think it's both. It is a value add for the people that work for us, and it's a value add for the people that work with us.
Right.
At PAX8, we think people first, right? And so if there's something that we can do to make our people more effective, right, we're absolutely going to take advantage of that. And AI is definitely a key part of that. Whether it's BI or I have my entire engineering team, they have an open door policy on any training they want to pursue. And so they've actually we've set up organically with maybe some push from the top to say, okay, let's start looking at AI. And I want half of my engineers now to be able to competently execute in the AI practice, right? So now I take that and how do I extend that beyond just the engineering department? And I think that's where Power BI comes in, being able to access the data, and where we have, again, over a dozen employees now or team members that are leveraging or that are using and have actually taken Power BI training.
So can you talk a little bit about that training piece? Actually, on stage yesterday, Jutz and Altaf talked about one of our priorities being around learning and readiness. Mm-hmm. Training is super important, and especially as the talent gap only gets bigger and bigger. So can you talk a little bit about, you said it was a little bit of executive buy. You had a little bit of push from the top.
Right.
But that is an important piece to building an AI practice.
Absolutely. So within PAX8, we have an entire department, PAX8U, which is led by Susan Mitnick. And really that department is responsible for creating a culture of learning, right? So whether it's a new hire that's going into the sales function, or it's someone that's a developer that's been around for 25 years and has been with PAX8 for 5, this is something now that we want to ingrain into our culture. And I think a key piece of that is LinkedIn Learning. We have made LinkedIn Learning available to our entire organization so that if you want to get access to all that great content, we're giving it to you. It's such a low cost, and it's such a huge return on investment. I can't tell you how many times we've had someone who came in at one role and grew into something that was a really incredible transformation for them because of tools like LinkedIn Learning, like the AI School, and then coupling that with just a corporate culture of training and learning and bettering yourself.
That's awesome. I love that. Can you talk about the building out the AI strategy? What was that like? What was the process? How long did that take? What did you do? Obviously, it's the training and the people, but let's walk through that if there's partners that are just thinking about, okay, maybe I should think about this.
Absolutely. So at PAX8, we leverage a working group model to around key areas. So product operations, sales and marketing operations. But one of those key areas for us is data operations. And so we have a data operations working group that centers around this function. And it was established as part of an executive retreat that says, okay, hey, data is a really important part of our ultimate success. And taking that data and now applying the tools that we need to be successful and actually leverage that data naturally is going to push you into an AI. So it was really, in this working group, there's executives, there's people in the trenches, so to speak, and it's really a cross-functional group of people that are really there to come up with our strategy for data, and that really does very quickly lead you into AI.
Okay, so you just launched PAX8 Stacks. Can you tell me about the process it took to get to this launch?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a relatively new area for PAX8. And so part of this was establishing a data operations working group. And this is a group of people that involves, it's cross-functional, everyone from finance, development, marketing, sales. We're all there to understand what our data tells us. And so the first thing we needed to do as part of this process was just get a handle on our data, right? Our data lives in our CRM tool. Our data lives in our operational database. Our data lives in our support system. Now we have to gather all that data in and have it in a Cogent's place. And now once we've got that done, now we need to have our business analyst to say, okay, what is this data telling us? And that can be a really, really complicated question, because what do you want to know from your data, right? And what do you want to ultimately get from your data? And for us, we have KPIs established across our organization, whether it's at the top level or all the way down to we encourage everyone down to the manager level to develop their own KPIs. Now, we really need to be able to develop assumptions from this. And this is really where this operational working group comes into play. We say, okay, here's a piece of, here's a KPI, and how do we improve this? Well, I think we can maybe improve this if we could do a better job of delivering the right content to the partner in a more timely manner. Now, from that, the natural motion from that should be, okay, let's create an experiment. And this goes back to your OODA loop, your observe, orient, decide, and act. And you really want that to be short. And so what's the minimum viable experiment, right? How can you take this notion, this thing that we all thought was true, and bring it into a very concise set of assumptions and a very clean experiment? And so from that's how you develop it, right? You want to be agile, and you want to get that OODA loop really executing as quickly as possible.
Is OODA loop an official term?
It is.
Is that a techie term?
Yes.
Shows I'm not super techie. OODA loop, though, I like it. It's like Oompa Loomp.
Oompa Loomp, yeah. Oompa Loomp.
Yeah. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about artificial intelligence here at this conference, and it's just kind of like the buzzy term, right? Where do you see it having the most impact? Is it that from a functional standpoint, you're talking a little bit about marketing and sales, or is it more societal? Where do you see the impact happening?
Well, I think for us, it's all about making people more effective, right? I think that, with any introduction of technology, the ultimate goal is to make people able to do more with less, right? And so you used to have accountants going through spreadsheets and tabulating forms and doing things by hand, and then maybe a 9Q was introduced, and then you had VisiCalc and Excel, right? I think it's so hard to see where AI is going to lead us, because it's going to be such a paradigm shift in a whole lot of areas. But the core of what's going to happen is it's going to make a whole lot of job functions much more effective. No salesperson likes to get rejected, right? No salesperson wants to make 100 cold calls and get turned down on 90 of them. How can we use AI to make that better? To make their experience and their lives better, really, when it comes down to it.
Right. No, I think that's super, super helpful. Is there, any best practices and tips or things that you learned or common pitfalls that you can talk about?
Absolutely. One thing you need to understand is that AI is not a magic bullet, right? When we talk about AI, it is such a buzzword, right? Everyone wants to do AI and machine learning, and this is going to be great. But you have to temper that with, is it the right tool for this job? And then from there, you need to understand what biases are you bringing to hey, I saw this spike in data. And Power BI told me it was because of the actions of this piece of the process. Well, maybe that's true and maybe it's not. You have to be very careful about the biases you bring to the table, and start small. Start with something that's manageable. Start with something that is an experiment that makes sense for the tool, for AI, and then get after it in a small way.
How are you helping your teams not bring their biases into their assumptions?
Absolutely. I think QA is critical to, and actually looking at QA not just from a standpoint, did I put this in and this came out? But now understanding, hey, the function of QA is it the right result? And then taking that a step back is, it's almost a user acceptance testing in a whole new light, right? To say the trends that I'm understanding, are they the right trends? Or is this tool replicatable and scalable when we actually push it to production?
So is that where the human brain comes into it?
Absolutely.
So will bots take over?
No.
So you believe humans will still be around?
I think humans will always be around, because the things that computer can't do very well is understand what you want, right? Humans are always going to be best at telling a computer what they want from it. And we've seen examples in the past where, an artificial intelligence system says, okay, hey, I'm looking at some code and I'm trying to determine the intent of it. And if I write one line, if, maybe that artificial intelligence system, it has parametric starvation. It doesn't have enough data to actually produce the rest of that statement. Well, if you try and make it do that, it's going to produce you something that doesn't make any sense. And this is where the role of humans, I think, should always be. And this is why it's so critical for more people to start interacting and leveraging AI and understanding what it's good for, because you really don't want systems that are designed to produce what they should do, right? You want to keep humans in that mix.
Of course, absolutely. Is there any advice that you would give to partners if they're starting an AI practice? Best piece of advice you were given in the process?
Absolutely. I think, heading over to AI school is huge. Grabbing Power BI and starting to look at your data and looking at what it can do for you is absolutely huge. Also, just education is really key.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Michael. Have a great rest of your Inspire.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening today, and check out the podcast description for show notes. Be sure to subscribe and keep in touch with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter at MS Partner.